Hello, everyone. I am so thrilled that you are here. It's my honor to be the MC of this virtual book launch party. I'm Robbie Samuels, and I've had the pleasure of working alongside Barrie Atkin on her author journey for this book and supporting her through her launch. And now here we are at not really the culmination because the book lives on forever in so many ways, but a really important milestone. And so, thank you for the folks that are here in the room that are witnessing this. And thank you for those of you who are watching the replay of this after the fact. Please do send your good wishes on to Barrie if you weren't able to be here. A couple of things I want to share with you. One is there is a poll up and running that all but Barrie can answer. And you are encouraged to do so. I'm going to leave that up. We're going to get back to this poll in a moment during an interview segment I'm doing with Barrie. So we'll let new people coming in answer that poll. And the question is, how do you feel about fundraising? Which I know it ranges. So this is like sort of a 1 through 5 option. I also want to share some housekeeping. If captions will help you more fully participate, you can select the CC button on the bottom of the screen to enable the captions. So you can have those going. And if you want to ask us a question, you can do so by going into chat and then writing the words question in all caps. So write the word question in all caps followed by your question so that I don't miss it in case there's lots of other conversation and banter in there. We also encourage you to be cameras on if possible, just so that, Barrie doesn't feel like it's just me and her in a room full like staring at brick walls. So I see lots of loved ones and longtime friends and family here as well, which is wonderful. If you have any kind of technical trouble, you can message me. I will be the top of your list of participants to write to, and I'm happy to try to assist you if you have any kind of tech issues. Before I get into the actual honor of introducing our guest of honor, who doesn't really need a long introduction, I want to share with you another way we're trying to get a sense of your feelings, I guess I will say, about fundraising. I've set up a word cloud, and the point of this word cloud is to give you a chance to use a word or phrase that would help elucidate those feelings you have about the word cloud. And so that's going to be, again, we'll look at that in a couple of minutes. If you want to see the Menti code, if you prefer to use the Menti code, you can go on your app to Menti and you can put the code that you see on the screen. But the link in chat will get you there. And it's the first word that just popped in there, necessary. So we're going to check back in to see the results of this. So for those of you who are just coming in here now, we would love you to take a moment and answer this Menti. Again, I'll drop that link in. Allergic. Oh my God, this is gonna be so fun to look back at those. So everyone gets a chance to put in their word or phrase about their. Oh my God, I have to stop looking at them. They're gonna make me laugh. But now it's my immense honor to invite Barrie to share a few words about her experience as an author and this whole journey. And just congratulations, Barrie. We would love to invite you now to come on stage.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you for helping making this book launch a success. And as you pointed out, the success runs into the future because the idea is to get the book out to as many people who can use it, which, as we'll talk about, is lots of people. And I want to thank everybody for being here and everyone who wrote reviews, who've bought the book so far. There's a common statement that most self-published authors don't even sell 100 books. Well, I've definitely surpassed that. So I'm thrilled. It's on different days, it's received in the top 5 or top 10 for 4 or 5 different categories. And so I'm really excited about that and hope to get more of that happening. I've had a book launch team of 52 wonderful people. Of those, 28 wrote reviews, which is, according to Robbie, an amazing percentage. Usually only about a third do. And so I'm really excited how many reviews I've had to date, and they're all 5-star reviews. So that's pretty well. It says 5-star on Amazon. So I'm really excited about that. And thank you all for that. And I see many of the people who've done that here on the program. So my appreciation for you. I appreciate it.
Amazing. So I'm going to pop back in here. We're going to do a little bit of an interview with you so we can get a better sense of why you wrote the book and what this is all about. We'll check back in a couple of minutes about the poll and the Mentimeter word cloud. So again, if you haven't answered the word cloud yet, I saw some people write their answer in chat, which is fine. We can work with that. But click the link and that I just put in, and then it'll give you a chance to type it right on the screen. And then if you haven't answered the poll, if you just joined us, please answer the poll. So we will check back in a couple of minutes on those results to see how people are in the room, at least, are feeling about this. So I would love to hear a little bit about what inspired you to write this book. Is there a specific moment or experience that made you go, oh, you know what? I've got to put this out there in the world.
Thanks, Robbie. Yes, indeed, there was. I've been doing fundraising, consulting, and advising for over 15 years. And a number of years ago, I was mentoring Mickey Cockrell, who's the CEO of Katie's Closet, which is a wonderful organization in Massachusetts that helps homeless students here in Massachusetts. If you want to add an organization to your donation list, Katie's Closet is worthwhile. And that's Katie with a C. Mickey was very appreciative of some of my fundraising advice and suggested I write a book to share my knowledge with others. So, in Hate Fundraising, in the book, Mickey is my first acknowledgement. And as far as why I decided to write it now, from giving dozens of workshops on this topic, I recognized that I had important information that I wanted to share to help people overcome their fears. My goal, as I mentioned earlier, is that the book and the solutions it offers will reach a wider audience and help many people.
So my interest in supporting you on this book is also because I have in the past been a fundraising professional. This is actually the context in which you and I first met. I was
Right?
organizing fundraising events and doing major gift work for GLAD Law and for GLBT legal advocates and defenders. And I, got over my fear of asking, and in fact led a talk called, workshop about that topic. And I'm sure a lot of the words we're about to see on the word cloud will have come up. But people, I mean, even board members would be nervous about doing it, and like they're stewards of the organization. But once they'd sort of been on a few visits and some coaching, they sometimes became the best advocates. So I love this book for giving people kind of a look sort of around the curtain into what this experience could be like. And I love how you're addressing the different reasons for why people might be angsty. But before we dive into the content of the book, I want to have a better understanding of who this book is for. So, I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of people that it might be, but who did you have in mind when you were writing the book?
It is mostly for not for profit executives, directors, and board members and other volunteers on nonprofit organizations that have any connection to fundraising. And in actuality, almost everybody connected with a non-for-profit organization needs to think of themselves as a fundraiser when they're out meeting people, when they're out speaking to other people, when they're involved with other organizations. They are representing the organization on some level.
I feel like even those of us who donate to causes we care about or volunteer our time for causes we care about, this moment in
Mm-hmm.
time right now, it's more important than ever that people have this skill set. I think about the impact of a small grassroots organization. If you're willing and able to help them raise $1,000, that could be a big shift in maybe giving them a better computer, right? Like little bits of money add up, and also just having that many more people buying into the idea. But we have to kind of kick ourselves out of the way and let the cause do the talking. Let's hear what the other people on this call feel about fundraising. So first, we're going to take a peek at the poll. So Barrie, you can see this up on your screen. One out of the 25 who answered avoid fundraising at all costs. Well, we're glad you're here. We really are because hopefully by the end of this, maybe we'll have moved you to neutral. I mean, that would be a goal. I'm not going to move you from 1 to 5, but maybe we can get you to a neutral feeling. And then two, prefer to have someone else do the fundraising is 40% of the people on this call. Neutral 4%, willing to help out if needed, almost 25%, 24%. That's wonderful. So one in four of you, if I'm the person who needs to do the job, I'll step up and do it. But there are fortunately 28 people on the call who are the people who are out doing this work, and we're so grateful for their presence in our world. Now let's take a peek at what's happening with this Mentimeter. And in addition to the words you see on the screen, I remember there were a few words that came in here. Intimidated came in, terrifying, importance. Those are some words that came in for on the chat itself. But the bigger words means more people wrote that word. So important, necessary, and daunting are the words that got the most words. Allergic and worst. Those are the people who are feeling and exhausting, intimidating. Those are some pretty angsty words there. Resigned. That's another one. Ambivalent, critical. So critical and important, I think we'll put in there. So critical, important, necessary, and daunting. What are your thoughts on how people are responding to all of this?
It's very typical because it ranges across a wide number of concerns. It really is across the gamut. That's why during my years of fundraising trainings and mentoring, I've come up with over 30 different reasons, something like 3 dozen, that people hate fundraising. And that's why I've looked for commonalities and ended up grouping them into 6 categories we'll talk about later. But I want to also reassure anybody who really is in that number one category and cannot get unstuck from that number one category. There are many other things you can do. In one chapter in my book, Hate Fundraising, How to Feel Comfortable Asking for Money, is alternatives to asking for money. So if you go through all 6 categories and you don't accept the solutions in any of those, there are other solutions, things you can do, because you really do want to help the organizations that you care about.
That's awesome. I love that. Even if you're still a naysayer, even if I've tried my best, let me still help you help the organization. I love that you didn't leave those people out. It's a really important. It's a journey. I actually remember someone who became the board president, started as a board member who was really, really, really nervous, and she was a very, very accomplished lawyer who could argue in front of courtrooms. So this was not a shy butterfly wallflower type person. Sorry, shy wallflower type person, but she would go on visits with the executive director, who was very confident, and seeing it how it worked. She ended up, and she'd also go on calls with like the director of development. She ended up being one of the best at it. It took some time. It took some time and took some confidence boosting. I'd love to hear how this book differs from other fundraising books. And in particular, you mentioned a moment ago the 6 categories that you designed the experience around. So share a little bit about what's in the book and how it differentiates from others.
Thank you. I'm glad to. There are, as most of you probably know, lots of books about how to fundraise, but not a lot of information about how to overcome the angst, the fears. Some of the advice out there is simply just do it, which is okay for some people, but could have other people cowering in the corner. So hate fundraising is unique, not just for focusing on the fears and their solutions, but grouping those fears into 6 overarching categories. And I'd like to share those categories. The first is lack of knowledge of fundraising techniques or best practices. The good news is that can be overcome pretty easily. The second one is lack of confidence in your abilities, which has some relationship to lack of knowledge. The more you know, usually the more confident you are. The third is a really interesting one, discomfort with money or talking about money. And sometimes that goes back to childhood. And I encourage in the book people to look at how did they learn and feel about money as a child. The fourth is fear of damaging a relationship with a friend or relative. Oh my gosh, if I ask them and they ask me, or they'll always think that I'm doing this, or if my organization doesn't do well or has a scandal, it's a tough one. So especially important in the for-profit world, if you're doing a startup and somebody invests money and then you don't succeed. The fifth one is discomfort with the cause or organization. I've had that. I was asked to support a cause when I was at work in a job that luckily the organization felt very strongly about having people represent them in not for profits. But I didn't care about that organization and I just didn't give it my all. And the big gorilla, fear of rejection or embarrassment. So, as you can see, there's some overlap among them, and some of the many reasons appear in more than one category. So, check out more than one category and find the solutions for all of them.
This is great. I love it. And it rings true from my experience, people being in the room. Uh, Friends I've talked to in the nonprofit world, people came to the trainings that I used to do years and years ago. I mean, we're going back 20 years for some of the stuff that I did, and it's still true. Um, it's also true that people are inundated with requests for money from organizations. And when someone in their network, their friend, points them in the direction of a good charity, it actually makes it easier for the person who wants to give to get a sense of where they can put their dollars because it's overwhelming between inboxes and emails and mail solicitations. So I feel like the empowerment piece here is so critical. And I love that you address the mindset because that's it's not just the steps to doing it, but you're addressing all these six concerns. And that last one about rejection or embarrassment is probably one that's really holding people back. I'd love to hear if there's a particular message or takeaway that you'd like people to learn. Like what's a couple of lessons that you could share from the book?
Well, one of them is that fundraising is about building relationships. It's about building relationships with people who care about your organization. There's no point in spending a lot of time focusing on or trying to convince people who have no interest in your organization. Um, and don't focus necessarily on the money, focus on the people and the relationships. And that will lead to the money. Doesn't mean you can't discuss money, but not at the beginning. And the other way to think about it is a paradigm shift that happened for me. I used to hate fundraising. When I got asked to fundraise for organizations, I tried to run away. And then I had this paradigm shift back when I was invited to learn more about the documentary Gen Silent. And one of our speakers today is connected to that. And that was a documentary about LGBTQ aging and caregiving. And it's really a fine documentary about aging in general. When I saw the trailer, it resonated with me. And I said, I want to be a part of that. And I ended up not only being a part, but helping fundraise, going to Chicago and Richmond, Virginia, and other places, and being a speaker after the showing of the film.
This is your own journey. I always appreciate when experts also say, I was once in your shoes. I know what it feels like to have that level of angst and concern about the big gorilla in the room and that you overcame it. But I also love that you didn't just, it wasn't willpower. You didn't read the steps to overcome it. You felt really drawn to a cause. And this is why I'm always like, kick yourself out of the way and let the cause talk, which is this anonymous quote. Anonymous, by the way, wrote a lot of great quotes. You should check them out. But I don't know whose quote that was, but when I heard that, that was one thing that also helped me realize if we make it about us and our angst, we're getting in the way of this positive feeling that will happen when someone makes that gift and feels really good about it. We're making it about us instead of making it about this great organization and their mission. So that movie was for you a turning point, and for maybe others in the call, there's some other deeply felt cause that they care about that they want to make sure is doing well, and particularly now where we really have to step up as a society to support each other.
And
Before we,
that's what I want to emphasize also in terms of that paradigm shift. If
mm,
you care about the cause, you care about the mission of the organization. Whatever you do is going to help support the mission.
to help people actualize the content from your book, I know you've pulled together some bonus resources. So tell us a little bit about them while I share the links in chat.
Sure. So you may have already done this. The book offers 2 freebies, the end, but we're going to make sure everybody here has easy access to them today. And then I have a third freebie It's on my website, and we're going to give you that as well. And the three are 21 best practices to keep your donors giving. That's once you get comfortable asking for money, then you're going to need to renew those donors. And another one is how fundraising mistakes you don't want to make. And some of those are really amazing. I had an experience, a dear friend of mine had an experience. Her daughter was in a rehab place on Cape Cod for heroin addiction. And she died there. And they did not have Narcom at the time, which they should have. 6 months later, her daughter gets a letter saying, "Dear such and such, I hope you really got a great experience at blank rehab place, and we'd like you to donate." This is a very true story.
Ouch.
Yes.
Ooh, oh my gosh.
Be
Thank you
careful
for
with your
that.
lists.
Yes. Please be mindful of the experiences people are having. With that, I want to now take a moment to, wow, I don't know how to move from that heavy story, honestly. Um, Barrie, will you
Well, she wrote
kindly,
three, ended up writing three books. The mother ended up writing three books.
that's great. I know we've got one of our speakers here waiting to share a little bit about what their experience working with you. We're going to feature remarks from four different people who have worked with you in some capacity over the years. Would you kindly introduce our first guest?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. Ruth Ann Dobeck is a licensed social worker. She has devoted her career to advocating for older adults in Brookline, Massachusetts, helping establish the Brookline Senior Center in 1999 and serving as director for over 20 years. Through her leadership, the organization has grown from serving 300 older adults per year to now serving more than 3,100 individuals each year. Ruth Ann has been recognized as Innovator of the Year by the Massachusetts Council on Aging and as Social Worker of the Year by the Massachusetts Association of Social Workers. The innovations she has put in place include multiple transportation options, caregiving, an extensive array of programs and services, and developing an endowment, which is very unusual for senior centers, among many other accomplishments. Among senior centers, she is rightly considered a rock star.
Welcome, Ruth Ann.
Thank you, Robbie and Barrie. Congratulations on such a wonderful contribution to the field of fundraising. And I loved the chapter about how else you can help for those who really just couldn't. Because, as you know, I started off as a terrified person not wanting to ask for money and have just been able to grow into that role. Working with Barrie has been such a pleasure. She is intelligent, she knows her field, but more importantly, I think she's able to hear about your needs. What is it that makes your agency, your whatever you're trying to raise money for, unique and special? In my case, it's a very small organization that does not have any dedicated dollars to development, or at least in the beginning we didn't, and really had to work from that vantage point. And Barrie had a unique skill in being able to adapt and really help us. I think from the greatest vision around it, from my field in aging services, right down to the practical. Barrie has a special talent of coming up with the greatest subject line for your email blast. And I use that as an example because when you work with her, she is willing to do the bigger picture right down to helping you find a catchy subject line for your email blast. There's nothing from a capital campaign down to that smallest detail that she leaves Uh, she is great with timelines and getting her work done under deadline. I can't speak highly enough, as well as being able to really work collaboratively with a board, with a team, with volunteers. All of that has been just a wonderful experience in my, I think it's now over a dozen years of work with Barrie.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. I really appreciate that. It has been a pleasure. And Ruth Ann is going to be retiring in a few months from being head of the Brookline Senior Center. But she has raised an endowment for someone who was initially reluctant at raising money. The endowment for the Brookline Senior Center, the Brookline Senior Center Foundation, the not-for-profit that supports the Senior Center, is now greater than the annual operating budget. So that is quite an accomplishment that she has achieved.
That's amazing. Thank you, Ruth Ann. And Barrie, can you kindly let us know about our next speaker?
Sure. Our next speaker is Joe Applebaum. Joe and his partner, Stu Maddox, are the principals of the Clowder Group, a social enterprise changing the world through film. They are award-winning filmmakers and producers of acclaimed films such as Gen Silent, that I mentioned earlier, and All the Lonely People. Gen Silent created an international movement to address aging and health concerns of older LGBTQ plus adults. All the Lonely People was the first film to address the issue of loneliness and social isolation. Their newest project is HOAP, Hope, Heroes of Adult Protection, a docuseries and feature-length film showing how our community can work together to help victims of adult abuse become thriving survivors. They are really amazing, and I've had the pleasure of working with them as well for many years.
Hi, I'm Joe Applebaum, documentary filmmaker, and I'm here to congratulate Barrie on her new book. Barrie has always been such a tremendous fan and supporter and friend to Stu Maddox, my partner, and myself and our company, the Clowder Group. She has given wonderful advice and fundraising support and guidance over the years to us on a couple of our projects, and we have even credited her as executive producer on a couple of them for all of that fundraising and financial help. She's truly talented. She has a incredibly deep Rolodex, as we used to say, and I know that she's going to be able to help a lot of people with this book. So, one of the things that I love about Barrie is that whenever she emails me, she ends the email, "Your fan, Barrie." And Barrie, today I'm here to tell you that Stu and I are your fans. And I have no doubt that this book is going to be a big hit, and it's going to be inspiration to a whole new group of people. So once again, Barrie, congratulations and good luck.
Amazing. Barrie, I hope you're just taking this all in. I
Oh,
hope you're feeling it.
it's so wonderful. And I've seen some of the comments as well. Joe and Stu live in Northern California, and neither one was available to be on camera today, unfortunately. But they're both fabulous.
So I'll keep you on stage with me while I read. There's a couple of comments that had to come in as a written testimonial because they were unable to be here. Some of them rather last minute. But the first one is someone, Maddie Noonan, and she says, I became acquainted with Barrie through a marketing/branding workshop she presented at MCOA conference during my time as Barnstable COA director. At that time, I was spearheading a rebranding/name change campaign for our senior center. Aware that this would be a challenging and time consuming process on top of my already overflowing workload, I brought Barrie on as a consultant, giving her subject matter expertise and proven success in this area. Her clear guidance, calm presence, and positive encouragement helped ensure that the process moved smoothly. I attribute much of the success of our project to Barrie for listening so intently to our vision, imparting her wisdom and experience as we moved through the various steps of the rebranding process, and for always being honest and thoughtful with her insight and feedback. No surprise there, Barry. That's a great. So thank you, Maddie, who wasn't able to be with us. And I do have one more absence that just came in this morning. Unfortunately, Lisa Krinsky, who is a licensed social worker and been the director and honestly the face of the LGBTQ plus aging project for over a dozen years. She had said Barrie Atkin is a tremendously energetic and committed marketing, strategy, and development professional. She worked tirelessly with our staff and board to establish a framework and plan for our development's goals, and then provided development, marketing, training, and planning services to help implement our goals. Barrie gave 110%, and together we achieved great success. Congratulations again, Barrie, for these great remarks that are coming in. I mean,
I'm getting embarrassed.
that's why I kept you on here for those last two. It's a lot. This is sort of amazing. It's very rare in our lifetime that we get treated in such an honoring kind of way. This is beautiful. I'm so glad you're able to have this professional moment because you've been out there for more than a dozen years supporting people. Before we shift to our next steps, if anyone is willing to be on camera, I would love to do a group photo. I am going to shift my camera to gallery view. If you are willing to be on camera for a photo, go ahead and turn it on. I'll give you a moment to do that. If we were in person, I'd be telling you to all, get closer together and put your drinks down. But unfortunately,
I'd be in the front
the I would be too, honestly. I'm only tall on Zoom because I'm in
because
the
I'm
top
short.
row. All right, so I see a few more cameras coming on. This is wonderful. Kindly find the camera portion of your screen, which should hopefully be across from you. And we're gonna do a little 3, 2, 1. Here we go. We're gonna smile for the camera. Everyone ready? 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Awesome. No one blinked. That was amazing. Thank you for doing that. Okay, I'm going to switch back in mind to just the speaker view. And now, I'm going to keep you on here for a second, Barrie, but you said earlier that I told you that getting 28 reviews from 50 something launch team members was a really great percentage, and it really, really is. More than 90% of buyers will check reviews before making a purchase. Everybody kind of knows that. That's instinctually a true statement, but way, way less than 10% write reviews on a regular basis. I have checked. There are reviews for Charmin toilet paper on Target and Amazon. I don't know who these people are, but there are people who will write reviews for everything. That's not most of us. So that means that a tiny percentage of people writing reviews still has an outsized impact on the success of your book because they are social proof showing that you have credibility, that among all the books that are out there on this topic, this one has value, and people took the time to write that comment. So not just the ratings, the top of the screen, but actually putting in a written comment makes a difference. The written comment does not need to be 2 or 3 thousand pages. It's not a book report. It's 2 or 3 sentences. 2 or 3 sentences. And in the chat, I'm going to share some prompts like, what is your biggest takeaway? Share a line or a quote that resonated with you. What will you do differently because you read this book? And lastly, who should read this book? Who is this book really going to benefit from reading? So you've already heard even enough today, honestly, to know how to write those 2 or 3 sentences just from hearing from the interview and what others have said about Barrie's work. But it really makes a difference. What I'd love is if we can just get that number bumped up. I really want her to aim for 50. We got to close the gap here. So let's get her over 30 in the next few days. So if you're here or you're watching this in the next few weeks, kindly take a moment to buy the book, flip through it, read it. If you get a physical copy, when it gets to your house, go through it, read the sections that resonate with you, and write those 2 or 3 sentences so that people who are following your footsteps and debating whether to buy the book would think, yeah, this is really valuable. And of course, bulk orders of books that can be sent out to teams of communities are always a good idea as well. But Barrie, you had a particular offer for the people in this space that you were going to invite them to continue the conversation with you in a very specific way. What was that audit you were mentioning to me when we did some planning?
So if your organization, if you're involved with a nonprofit and you would like to have your fundraising materials, your fundraising collateral reviewed, I'm offering a free complimentary review of those materials. Wow. That I will look at any or all materials you want me to see, and then we'll talk for 20 minutes, half an hour about them. And if you would like to have that, please write the word audit in the chat. AUDIT.
That's
Audit.
awesome. And it's really simple. We're not giving you a link to fill in because if you write the word audit, then she'll see it. She'll reach out to you about scheduling that conversation and how to send her the materials in advance. Honestly, to have your expert eyeballs on their materials to see the effectiveness of them, I think it's really great. I'm already seeing some names pop up in chat. That's really cool. So anyone else who wants to take advantage of that, write the word audit. If you are watching the replay, just email Barrie, you know her email, and just say audit, and she'll know that's what you want to talk to her about. We are now getting to the fun portion. We're not that this wasn't fun. I mean, let's be real. We're giving away some stuff, which is really cool. And I wanted to let's see if I can advance the next screen here. This isn't going to work this way. I'm going to bring up. You've got a new companion book. So before I have this wheel that we're going to spin in a second. But first, can you tell us a little bit about the companion book? Because we're going to give away a signed copy of the book and a signed copy of the companion journal and one more awesome prize. But tell us a little bit about the companion journal.
Sure. Thanks, Robbie. So in Hate Fundraising, I pose a bunch of questions. I ask people, how do you feel on the scale there from 1 to 10? I ask people to comment about quotes, but there's no place to comment. So the companion journal is meant to be just that, a companion journal to the book that allows you to write answers, to comment, to share your experiences, like how you felt growing up about money, how you felt about being asked to donate money as a child, if you were asked to do that, how you feel as an adult when you're asked to donate, or how you feel when you donate money. So it is literally a journal where you can write in it. That is, if you purchase the paperback copy. And it is on very approachable price of $7.95 at the moment, though it's not yet on Amazon. It will be within the week. So that's the idea. The book and the journal work better together. You can buy the journal by itself, but it really is a supplement to the book.
Brilliant. So we're going to give away first a signed copy of Hate Fundraising, the book. And so I'm going to spin the wheel. These were people who all had registered via Zoom as of late last night. And Barrie will attest very late last night. Here we go. And the winner is Joe. All right.
Well, let's do another one. I'll give him I'll give him a
I tried
signed
kicking
copy.
out all the people that might not be a winner, but let's try this again. Jonathan's laughing. Okay. Here we go.
Alex Smolin.
So Alex will be the winner for the book. And we'll get in contact if Alex is not here. And for the next one, this is for the companion journal. Ooh, and here's Ruth. Congratulations, Ruth. So Ruth's gonna get
she's there.
The journal. Congratulations. And you all can shout your congratulations into the chat. This last one does not need a visual. It's a $20 Amazon gift card.
Everybody wants that.
Everybody wants that. You can use it to buy another copy of the books to send to a friend. Who knows? And that is going to go to Jeffrey Brand. Yay. And Alex is here. That's fantastic. All right. So fantastic. So now what we're going to do, we're getting to the end of this program. Appreciate you spending time with us. We're going to shift into kind of a bit of a Q&A. So if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask Barrie about fundraising, about her book, about her author journey, any or all of the above. And I'm just scrolling through. I don't see any comments that have come in so far. So we're going to, if you have questions, you can drop them into the chat now. We're going to spend a few minutes on some questions that I had sort of thought up ahead of time and any that come in. And then we're going to turn off the recording and just do a little chill hangout with the author. So if you want to stick around for a few minutes of questions and then a few minutes of the chance to hang out informally off camera or at least off recording with the author. That would be wonderful. By the way, Helen, I'm just see you beaming. I'm just like such a proud spouse. She's just sitting there beaming the entire time. So cool. Even if I didn't know who you were, I'd know who you were. You know what I'm saying? Um, all right. So, Barrie, when we were talking ahead of time, I had asked you if anything was surprising about the journey, and you said there was actually something surprising about one of your fundraising moments. It was something to do with a dog, which just sounded intriguing. So, tell us a little bit more about this story.
Well, most of you who know me know that we have dogs. And I'm very thrilled that neither Amazon nor FedEx have come by in the past hour because you would hear them. I guess they got the memo that they needed to be quiet. So I have fundraised for, and I have trained people to fundraise that are part of animal shelters. And so I have a poster with my dog's photo on it that says, "He helps fundraise. Ask me how."
And that's
And
worked out for you?
that's worked out for me.
All right, while we're here, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat, I have a feeling that you do some speaking on this topic. So tell us a little bit about, what kind of speaking you're doing and how do organizations reach out to you if they're interested in bringing you in.
I do speaking on this topic, and I am thrilled to speak with boards and with other volunteers and also at trade associations to help people overcome their fear of fundraising. And so I've given trainings to groups, to entrepreneurs, to nonprofit boards at fundraising conferences. And that's how my book was developed. If people want to reach me and would like such a training, whether it's in person or virtual, they can put in the chat training, and I'll reach out to you and talk about what your needs are. Or you can go to my website, barrieatkin.com/contact, which Robbie will put in the chat, I believe. Or you can call me on my phone number, business number, 781-788-6600. Or go online and look for Barrie Atkin, and you'll find some references to me that'll bring you to me.
Awesome. And
I'm also on LinkedIn.
Beyond speaking, I'd love to know like anything about like deeper collaborations, custom workshops. Like, how are you helping people implement the principles from the book?
I'm sorry, couldn't hear the last question.
And how are you helping people implement the principles from the book? Any, other, like whether it's a custom workshop or a deeper consulting engagement?
So not only have I done workshops, but I've done lots of one-on-one coaching and advising, as Ruth Ann mentioned. So if someone has an issue or they're trying to prepare for strategy with a specific donor, we can sit down and talk about what are the ways to approach that donor. If they're trying to develop a prospect list, I can advise on how to develop a prospect list. So basically, even though I'm focusing here on fundraising around overcoming fears of fundraising, I've done fundraising soup to nuts from the very beginning through capital campaigns, with one exception, which is what Robbie used to specialize in and still does, which is events. He's a maestro of events.
I love that this is the area I get to do, and you get to do everything else because everything else is a lot. All right, I have one more question, and if there's no other questions from chat, we'll morph into that informal moment in a second from now. But I'm curious about the overall response from sort of inner circle, and did anything surprise you about how the book's been received or what people have said?
Yes. When I look at the reviews, I'm amazed how, while there's some overlap, so many of the reviews are quite unique and distinct.
That's really cool. So
lots of different comments in the reviews, and I love it. And thank you again to everybody who's bought the book, who's mentioned it to other people, who've written reviews, because it takes some time and effort to do that. Even if it's only 2 or 3 sentences, it's down there permanently, and you want to make it feel right to you. So it's not as easy as Robbie makes it seem. So I really, really appreciate anybody who's written a review or posted a review. And yes, more reviews would be great. I would love for people to share the hate fundraising with others who might benefit from it, the book, or let them know about me if that's helpful to you or to them.
That's awesome. Just want to share out before we end the recording. A couple of comments that just came in. David Bertoni says that he wanted to mention Barrie helped bring greater clarity to his pitch deck. So thank you from David. Louise Bork says Barrie is very creative, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with her on a major ask at an event in April. And Mila Johansson is reminding everyone to buy the book. So Mila, thank you very much for your. She was a big part of this experience as well, helping you get the book out into the world. It takes a village. Even self-published authors do not work alone. Please do not work alone. Please find the people who will support you in achieving these outcomes that you're so excited to have, the impact you want to have. So,
and related to that, many people have commented how they love the cover. And that certainly was not something I designed. I hired a professional cover designer and we worked together and he did a great job. And
yeah,
Mila was my developmental editor and other people helped as well.
yeah.
Number of people did reviewing, a reading of early copies.
Oh, right.
And in my acknowledgments, I acknowledge a lot of people, some of whom are on the call today. So thank you to all of you.
Yeah. And then we got to work together on the plan to actually help people through that process of writing reviews, which you followed beautifully. So that worked out really, really well. And I'm so glad that you're re-engaged with so many people in your network, some of whom maybe haven't been close contacts in the recent years. So what a great opportunity to wake up and engage your network.
So Robbie, can we ask people now where they are on the 1 to 5?
Oh, let's try that again. Sure. We're gonna do the poll again. Why not? Let's do that. And then we're gonna close up. Um, Here we go. Oh,
And
launch
while we're doing
poll.
that, I'd like to just mention for anybody who stays at number 1 or 2, read my chapter, Alternatives to Asking for Money, because some of those include writing thank you notes, making phone calls, representing your not-for-profit at an event, telling your neighbors about an event and inviting them to that event, and a really, really, really important way you can support your not-for-profit, a cause that you care about, is donate money.
Please. Yes. We're going to leave this up for a second, but we are going to close up the recording now. And thank you all who are watching from here in the room and those who are watching the replay. We'll hope to see you all again soon. And